Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And let's do a reminder today about our July book of the month. We're a little over halfway through the month. And our book of the month is called Educated, a Memoir by Tara Westover. No, I have not even started it because I'm finishing up the movie. The book, The Women. And it's really, really good. And I think I'm in the last hour. So I'm going to get started on Educated, a Memoir. So if you're interested, the book is about the author was born to survivalists in the mountains of Idaho, and she was 17 the first time she set foot into a classroom. Her family was so isolated from the mainstream of society that there was no one to ensure the children received an education and no one to intervene when Tara's older brothers became violent. When another brother got himself into college, Tara decided to start to try a new kind of life. So her quest for knowledge transformed her, taking her over oceans and across continents to Harvard and to Cambridge University. Only then would she wonder if she'd traveled too far and if there was still a way home. So that is our book for July. It's not too late to get started. And of course, I've been reminding us every day about the listener challenge, saying hi to a stranger. Today, I said lots of highs to strangers. There was lots of people out because it was really pretty outside. So whenever I walked Autumn, my Weimaraner, there were lots of people saying hi. So there was just, I think, one dad with his two kids this evening that actually came up and pet Autumn, and but we still didn't get to say much more than that. But anyway, I've been enjoying the listener challenge of the month. Today, I want to talk about honesty and judgment. Today's topic in my morning meeting was about gossip and criticism. And I just kind of expanded on that. So, thinking about navigating this gossip and criticism, navigating other people's judgments, and stopping judging others myself, which I feel like I'm doing a much better job at that than I ever used to in my life. I think my sobriety program really, really helped me to get more comfortable with who I am, more confident with about who I am, and understand that if I am judging somebody else, there's something wrong with me. It's not something wrong with them. It's just not kind. It's just not kind. It's not okay to do that. And I try really hard to not do it now. I mean, I'm not perfect for sure. I'm not perfect because there's some sort of part of me who gets some sort of sick pleasure by judging other people. I don't know why that is, but I'm going to keep working at it. And I think that's fair enough that I can keep trying. I have my whole lifetime to try to be a better human being than I was yesterday. So, I would say, like, over the time, what really stands out to me about this topic is when I was in college. And I was a full-blown active alcoholic in college. And I had a lot of character defects that were just pouring out of me at all times because I was young and I was drunk So I really didn't have any kind of filter on what was good behavior and what was not kind. I was just out for immediate gratification, just like we were talking about yesterday. So we'll start with talking about honesty. Honesty is the cornerstone of recovery. And when I first got sober, I had to focus on being honest with myself. Um, what stood out to me when I first got sober is how much I was not being honest with others because I was hiding all of my drinking from everybody. I was hiding all of my empties from everybody. I was hiding my behavior from everybody. At least I thought I was, but everybody around me, I think, at least my kids and my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, knew what was going on. So I was really thinking that I was pulling the wool over their eyes when really I was just pulling the wool over my own eyes. I just wasn't being honest with myself. I was hiding from myself, but yet there I was, looking at myself in the mirror every day. There was nowhere to run. I couldn't drink myself away from me. So admitting my struggles and facing the reality of my situation required a level of vulnerability that I wasn't used to because I was covering up. I thought when I was drinking, all that crying I did, I was like an open wound, just walking around an open wound. I thought that's what vulnerability was, but that's not what it is. When I actually took the drinking away and really sat with myself and allowed myself to get a layer deeper into my dark place and talk about the stuff that's in there, that's what vulnerability was for me. And once I was able to do that, that is what honesty is. It's being able to look at the stuff that hurts and that leaves scars and talk about them. And it has become the best tool for healing that I can offer anybody, suggest to anybody is to open your mouth and be honest with yourself and with other people. It allowed me to start building genuine relationships that foster trust with those around me. And really, I mean, I adore the people that I was friends with when I was drinking. I still adore them. Um, the friendships, however, that I have today are like, feel to me like we are one organism. Me and my sobriety network feels like one organism, and we're all trying to learn how to live together, to get through life together. Because I always felt like I needed to figure out how to live independently. That's not what I need to do. And I've talked about this before. We learn over our early years to learn how to be independent. Um, and there's a fine line between independence and knowing when to ask for help and knowing that leaning on others doesn't mean that you're not independent. Those are what relationships are. So I was thinking this morning, I was like, you know, we don't learn anything in school about relationships, about how to treat. I mean, you learn as a young child how to treat other people, but we don't learn about honesty. We don't learn about judging others and gossip. I mean, they mention it, but this like really diving deep into how to navigate relationships. I didn't learn this stuff until I got sober and started participating in my sobriety program. That's how I've learned how to nurture and build and maintain relationships. So one of the hardest parts about being honest, I think, is dealing with other people's judgments and judging others. So before I got sober, we'll say, I would let other people's comments and behaviors permanently damage my perception of them and my relationship with them. If someone judged me or criticized me, I would hold on to that hurt and let it fester forever. I mean, forever. My relationship with that person was permanently damaged because that's a decision that I made. Like, I don't like them anymore. That's not okay that they treated me that way or said that to me. I don't like them anymore, period. I'm done with, they're dead to me, you know? And what this did was it only served to isolate me further. What I've learned in sobriety is that everybody is sick in some way. Everybody is dealing with their own struggles. And believe it or not, some of those struggles are just as invisible as mine. We all have our own sicknesses, and recognizing this has helped me become less reactive to other people's behavior and comments and judgments. I am way more compassionate to people as a human being that makes mistakes. And so today, when someone might judge me now and say something hurtful about me, I remind myself that they are sick as well, just like me. And I was given the grace to recover. If everybody that I had hurt when I was drinking allowed me to permanently damage my relationship with them, I would have nobody left. I would only be able to have relationships with my people in my sobriety network. But that's not what happened. People were forgiving, you know? And I need to be forgiving to others in the same way. Where do I think that I have where do I get the nerve to like cut people off and isolate myself from people and not allow them to make mistakes the way that I make mistakes, you know? So just as I've worked on not letting other people's judgments affect me, and yes, there's another layer of process there where, I've really got to work through that. I've got to talk to somebody about it, and go through the process of forgiveness. There's a couple weeks of episodes where I talk about forgiveness, and this was over the winter months. So you could probably go back and find it. And during this time, I was working really hard at forgiving someone for something. And so it took a couple weeks, but a couple weeks, I mean, for for the love of, I used to take years to forgive somebody for something. It took a couple weeks for me to forgive. And I did that by going to my meetings and by talking about it in my podcast. And I don't share really specifically, I don't think, about what I was dealing with, but I was talking about the process of forgiving someone. And it only took like 2 weeks for me to get through that. I also talked about it in my meetings. I talked about it with my sponsor, and I was able to forgive and let it go. It's really quite amazing, honestly, that I was able to do that in such a short period of time. I don't have the time or the energy to be mad at somebody right now. I'm in recovery. I have a lot of just inherent stress with the situation, my circumstances. I'm not in the position to isolate myself or to cut off relationships. That was not an option for me. It's not what I wanted. I wanted to mend. I wanted to forgive. That's what feels good. It feels good to mend a relationship, to, understand when somebody is honest with you, to understand, accept, take the time that you need, and not judge them. The only judgment is that, oh, I guess you really are a human being just like I am. So just like I've been learning how to not let other people's judgments affect me, I've also been working on stopping my own judgments of other people. And in my active alcoholism, gossip and criticism were just flowing right off of my tongue. Unfortunately, I was so insecure, but when I would drink, it was like that insecurity just went away. It's the reason why we are able to get on the dance floor when we're drunk and not when we're sober, because our insecurities go away. Well, that same insecurity is the one that keeps me from being critical and judgmental of other people as well. Because once I erase that with a drink, then it's easy for me to be like, I'm better than everybody. That's how wacko my brain is. So it's easier to focus on the flaws of others than to face my own. And if I would drink, I didn't have to face my own. I only could see other people's. And when I got sober, I finally realized how toxic that behavior was. When I was in college, I may have shared this story before, but when I was in college, I was talking about somebody to my friends, and this somebody was a really good friend of mine. Like, I would have considered him like a best friend. And I was saying something negative about him, and I was drinking. And I turned around and he was standing in the doorway. And you know what? He never talked to me again, ever, after that. Um, it hurts so bad to know that I hurt somebody like that. And one of the problems is I don't even know what I said. I don't even know what I said about him. And he's never talked to me since then. I'll never be able to say I'm sorry, you know, and it still wasn't a lesson for me. I didn't learn to not do that until I got sober. And this, this judging others, it didn't feel wrong when I was drinking because it was perpetuating negativity and I was just overflowing with negativity. Today, I'm not. Today, I strive to approach each person I talk to with empathy and understanding. And that doesn't mean sometimes I don't slip into my old habits of judgment, but I do notice when I'm starting to do it and I pause and I reflect on what's driving me to do that. Um, again, it's progress, not perfection. I don't like this character defect of mine. I don't like it. But I get to keep trying to get better at it, and being mindful will help me break the cycle. And what would be great is this mindfulness is something I can spread over to my children so that they can see how negative it is, how that perpetuates negativity. And we don't want to live in negativity. We want to live in positivity. So if there's somebody that I see that I think is annoying, let's say, that's a generic thing, somebody that's annoying, like back up and think, what is it that's annoying about them to me? And why does it bother me so much? Why am I letting that person bother me so much? They have nothing to do with me. They have just as much right to talk in that voice or act that way as I have to talk in my voice and act the way that I do. We are all just as important as the other. So I think it's such a positive way to like a positive thing to work on every day is to make sure that that character defect does not rear its ugly head. And that step 10 reflection at the end of the day, did I do it? Did I do it at all? Because I know it's there. It's waiting. It's waiting to come out. Did I do it today? If not, then that's a success. If I did do it, why did I do it? What can I avoid so that I don't do it the next time, thinking or judging other people? So over the years, my approach to my relationships has definitely evolved. And much of it is my own behavior and the pause. And so I would often let other people's behavior drive the quality of my relationship with them. If someone hurt me or let me down, I would just hold on to a grudge indefinitely. And every time I saw them, I would just make sure that I didn't smile all the way so that they would know they damaged my relationship with them permanently. I'll smile a little bit, but I want them to know that I don't like them anymore, And it really just, if I treat somebody that way, imagine other people seeing me treat somebody that way. Like I'm just damaging my connections with people in general. Why not take a look at what it is and talk to the person about it? Like take action. my sobriety program is an action program. So I can't let grudges sit in my gut indefinitely. I can't, because I might drink if I do that. So I no longer allow other people's behavior to sit in my gut and hold a grudge. I no longer allow it to be something that is a permanently damaged relationship. Like, I have options today about how I want to manage my relationships. I can either approach the person and talk about it and share my feelings. I can be supportive. I can think, well, wait a minute, maybe they're being this way because something's wrong. Maybe I can be of service to them, you know? Or on the contrary, maybe I need to let them go. Maybe the relationship with them is a toxic, draining relationship, and I need to be rid of it. I have that choice today. I don't have to do, and I don't have to have other people direct my choices. I get to choose if I want to forgive somebody. I get to choose if I want to let it go. I get to choose if I want to take action and approach somebody. But I need to take a look inward and see what is going to be the most healthiest choice for me, for my well-being. So I think forgiveness is one that I've been practicing a couple times this year, and it's really become something that has been allowing me to reduce stress in my situation. I don't typically mind if I have a little bit of drama in my life. I'm not a huge fan of drama, but it naturally happens, I think, when you have a career and you're working with all these different types of people. It just happens. And with all of that, you know, you've got your priorities, get your work done. So sometimes some of these frustrations and resentments and stuff will sit with you. And that's why I have my God box and I put it in my God box. Well, today, same thing. I'll put stuff in my God box, but I think that I have a lower threshold for stress right now. I have a lower threshold for drama. So I am practicing more actively forgiving others to free myself from the burden of having to carry that resentment, because I can't deal with it right now. I have too much going on to deal with any resentments. My backpack is full of stuff I got to carry around, and I can't add any resentments. They won't even fit into any little pockets of my backpack. So, here are some strategies for navigating relationships and just practicing some of these ideas about not holding on to resentments, forgiving, about honesty, that kind of thing. So being honest about your feelings and setting boundaries with people. I know that I have always struggled with setting boundaries, and clear communication helps to prevent misunderstandings that arise because you weren't clear about your boundaries, you know, and it builds trust between two people. Sometimes, like, being honest about my boundaries feels like it has a negative connotation to me. but it's actually a positive thing when you're letting somebody in far enough to see what your boundaries are. That means that you trust them. It really is a level of trust and opening up. So that kind of communication can go a long way. Remember that everybody is sick in some way. They just are. Nobody's perfect. So everyone has their own struggles. And if somebody doesn't treat you kindly, um, it, for me, it's always worth looking at. Maybe there's something wrong. Maybe something's going on with them, you know? Maybe they lost the relative today. Maybe they are financially struggling. Maybe they are being abused by somebody. You know, having compassion and empathy, if you can put that ahead of resentments, it's really quite amazing to engage with other people with this understanding that um, we've all got some issues, you know, and let's be compassionate with one another. And maybe we don't have to get angry about each and everything that isn't done the way that I would do it. Maybe we can be a little more flexible with each other. Um, Being aware of our own judgments and thoughts, challenge your own negative thinking and try to replace it with constructive thoughts. Letting go of grudges and practicing forgiveness. This is a process. It's not a, okay, this person was mean to me. All right, I'll let it go. You know, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that for me. It is a process that I have to talk to somebody. I have to think on it. I have to really build the entire story about it and then decide, am I going to let it go? Do I need to clarify some things? Is this person sick and suffering or something like that? So it's a process that can take a while. It's up to you whether you want to do that. You can either hold on to the pain and the resentment, or you can invest in a healthier mentality and a healthier well-being by starting the process of forgiveness. And then same thing, like prioritizing your well-being there. Surround yourself with people who support your recovery so that when you've got these challenging relationships, you're challenged by honesty and judgment, that you have people like a sponsor or a best friend to talk to that you trust fully, somebody that you can be fully honest with, that you can say, maybe, you know, I can tell you this, but I couldn't tell them this. And be honest with them about, you know, what might be going on in your relationship with another person. Like, build trust and keep fostering that one honest relationship, because you need at least one at least one person that you can tell everything to. And that's what the purpose of the sponsorship is. And there are some people who, when they enter into sobriety, don't feel comfortable talking to a sponsor. They have enough stuff that they feel shameful about, guilty about, afraid, fearful about, that they don't want to talk about it. And in those cases, you can always um, reach out to a specialist or a professional or church or something like that. So then managing judgment, both from others and towards others, we can create a more compassionate and supportive environment for each other. And it really, I think, just takes up that pause. It always seems to come back to that pause for me. There's a lot of repetitive themes, but we all have the power to choose how we're going to navigate our relationships and what we're going to do based on our other people's behaviors, comments, and how we're going to deal with that. Just because we're angry doesn't mean that we have to, lash out. We have the option to make a decision. What do I want to do? And put yourself in their shoes. Maybe not even have to do that, but think maybe something's not well with them. Maybe I need to ask them how they're doing or something. So these are kind of some of the things that I practice in my relationships, and it's really helpful for me. So I thought that I would share them, and it feels good to talk about it out loud. So that's all I have. Thank you so much for joining me on the Recovery Daily podcast. I will talk to you tomorrow.